the fight.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to From the Nosebleeds. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm Joey Gunnar here today with James Merlot. James, how you feeling on this Tuesday morning?
I'm great, Joey. How are you?
I'm doing well. Tried to go to sleep last night after watching one of the worst football games I've ever seen in my entire life, and it couldn't have gotten any worse after the Chargers ended up winning it. So putting the Broncos in a little bit of a worse position. Not that they're in a bad position at all. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. How many more games do you think the Broncos are going to lose? Because honestly, there's a real possibility that they don't lose another one. They've got some tough games coming up the last stretch of the season, last 4 games. But going into the playoffs, having that home field advantage, if that's what they can get, maybe getting that first round bye, we could be looking at an undefeated end of the season, looking at 14 straight wins to cap off the regular season. They've got a couple of tough games coming up, but James, what do you think? Is there a chance that they go undefeated to finish out this season? Obviously, they lost those 2 games early in the year, but right now they're looking hot.
Well, there's a chance they run the table. There's also a chance they go 0-4. And I'm not trying to be negative. Let's just play it out here, right? It's what I wrote about yesterday at denversports.com of, we can cry and complain and yell at the sky and be mad about all the pundits and the national folks questioning the Broncos. None of it matters, right? We're going to find out in the next 4 weeks. So you got the Packers, the Jags, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, 3 of those 4 at home. You're going to answer the question, right? And so I think you look at it, if they go 0-4, the naysayers were right. If they go 1-3, the naysayers were probably right. You can't shut them up unless you win a playoff game. And if you go 2-2, it's kind of a wash. 3-1, you're going to win the division, probably going to get home field unless the Pats run the table. And 4-0, you answer all the questions. So which one do I think they're going to do? I think the realistic expectation is 2-2. I think going in, the Kansas City game's the crapshoot, right? Does it mean anything for the Chiefs? Is Mahomes even playing? If the Chiefs have something on the line and they're still in the hunt, they're on the right-hand side on Sunday Night Football, that's a tough ask. Going into Arrowhead on Christmas night, it's going to be freezing cold. It's a short week, all those kind of things. So for now, you kind of got to consider that a loss. And then you go, okay, can you win 2 of the 3 at home? Can you win all 3 at home and put yourself in good position? I think they're going to go 2-2 or 3-1. I think that puts them in, A, they're going to win the AFC West, and B, they got a good chance of getting the number 1 seed, which I think is huge.
So 3-1 with the loss to the Chiefs, that's that right there. But what's the second loss if you see 2-2?
I think this week's tough. I think they're going to beat Jacksonville. And then I think that Charger game all comes down to, does it mean anything, right? If the Broncos are playing that game to win the AFC West, I think they win. If the Broncos have to beat the Chargers, they've already won the division, but they got to win that to win the number 1 seed. I think they win that one. I think that's the part of it that we don't know when trying to forecast these last 4 games. It's last year you go back and if we'd have looked down the stretch, none of us would have said they're going to beat the Chiefs in the finale 38-0. Well, none of us knew Carson Wentz was going to start for Kansas City and Andy Reid was going to intentionally lose the game so the Bengals didn't get into the playoffs. That's the part of it we don't know. But if it's on the up and up, if it's just, hey, everybody's got something to play for, give me 3-1, maybe 2-2, and I would guess the Packers are the most losable game of that bunch.
Wow. Packers being the most losable. And that ties into what I was talking to AP about yesterday. The Packers are actually road favorites in that game, which is insane to see. I would say it feels disrespectful, but the odds makers know more than I do. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know more than them because, they always win. But that's an insane thing to see. Just seeing the Packers being favorites in Empower Field in Denver. I can't name the last time that I've seen a team actually deserve to be a favorite here against this Broncos team because they just keep on piling these wins. That's going to be a fun game to watch. And obviously the only game that you can really forecast right away is the game that's in front of you. That's the only game that you can really watch and analyze and say, here's what we know going into this game. Obviously tough. I think the Broncos win that. I actually agree with you about that Chiefs game. That'll be a tough one, but it really does depend on if the Chiefs are still playing for something. But even then, the Chiefs will take any chance they can get to hurt the Broncos. And if hurting the Broncos means dropping them from the number 1 seed overall in the AFC to leading the AFC West and not getting that first round bye. They're going to take every chance at that they can get. But confidence levels in this team, can you compare it to a team in the past? I mean, obviously you're one of the best Broncos minds out there. You've been following this team for longer than most people have been alive. Can you look at this team and say that they can be compared to a former team that had success?
Yeah, I think it reminds me a lot of the 2005 team. And that was the team that it was Jake Plummer. They went to the AFC title game, lost at home to the Steelers, but it was a really good team. They didn't finish with the 1 seed. The Colts had the 1 seed that year, but Jerome Bettis and company and Big Ben went into Indianapolis and beat Peyton Manning and the Colts on just a crazy game and wound up coming here for the AFC title game, and the Broncos lost that. But that was a really good Broncos team. Jake the Snake was a guy who could make some plays back there at quarterback, kind of Bo Nix-esque. And that was I think that team finished like 13-3, 12-4. I think 12-4. Really good team, Super Bowl contender. Had a chance, obviously it came down to 1 game for them to get in, and they got upset by the upstart Steelers. This team feels like that to me, where even if you don't get the 1 seed, could the Pats get knocked off in the first or second round and you end up hosting the AFC title game? Sure. Do I think this is as good as a Peyton Manning-led team? I don't. Do I think it's as good as a John Elway-led team? I don't. And that's no knock on this group. Those are 2 guys that are in Canton. They have gold jackets. And as impressed as I am with Bo Nix, he's not that yet, right? And you go back to Jake Plummer, had a lot of success, really good quarterback, but was he that playoff-proven quarterback? He never got to a Super Bowl. Could he get over that hump? That's kind of where we're at with Bo and with this team. So, yeah, it's the 2005 Broncos. And that's a team that if Champ Bailey doesn't drop what should have been an easy pick 6 in the AFC title game, they're probably in Detroit playing Seattle for the Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl in Super Bowl 40. So I think it's similar to that. You go back 20 years almost to the day, and that's what you're looking at.
I like that. However, stats may differ because with the start that the Broncos have, the only times that they've gone 10-2, they've gone to the Super Bowl that season. Now, obviously, that could change. You're looking at Bo Nix in his sophomore season. A sophomore season that early in the year looked like a sophomore slump. Doesn't quite look like that anymore. But with him being at the helm, with the way that he's able to play under pressure, of course, it's just the regular season. We know the only playoff experience he has is losing to Buffalo. But going forward, he's got playoff experience. He's good under pressure, and he's had one of the best starts up there with some of the best teams in Broncos history that have all gone to the Super Bowl. There is the possibility, there is the stats that tell you that this is a Super Bowl team. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I've been open about the fact that this looks like a Super Bowl team, but of course, again, what you said, you can't forecast it. But another thing to look at, obviously what I just said, sophomore season for Bo Nix, one of the best seasons in Broncos history. Is this season already going to be looked at as a success? Even if they go into the first round of the playoffs, they don't get the first seed, and they end up losing to a team like Buffalo. Is this going to be looked at as a success still, or is this going to be like, hey, you had all the momentum and you ended up losing the playoffs anyways?
No, I think it all depends on where you get. I think it's sort of AFC title game or bust with this group. Let's play the hypothetical worst case scenario. You finish 11-6, you lose out. You don't win the AFC West, and you go on the road in the wild card round and lose. So you drop 5 straight, a la the Steelers last year. No, it's not a success. They've put themselves in position to have a huge success, but it isn't one yet. And if you win the AFC West, I think you probably long-term would look back on it as a success, even if you dropped the first round game. But, I was here in 96 when they went 13-3. They were 12-1 on December 1st and had clinched home field advantage and just coasted for a month and then lost at home to the Jags in the divisional round. Nobody looks at that as a success. Now it's different. That team was John Elway. Kind of everybody thought maybe it was his last shot. Nobody thinks this is Bo's last shot, but I think it all depends on how it looks, right? Like if you go 15-2 and lose at home in the divisional round, I mean, again, long term, you probably look at that as a success. You and I aren't going to be on here the Tuesday after that game and saying, what a great season. We're going to be disappointed. So they put themselves in a spot now where you got to do something where you're winning a division, you're winning a playoff game, you're accomplishing something that was kind of above and beyond what the goals were at the start of the season because you're 11-2. Like it's not gravy from here. It's actually more pressure from here. in my mind, because you've got everybody's expectations up. You've set the stage. You've put yourself in this position. Think back to this 13 games that they've played and the crazy ways they've won and the comeback against the Giants. Like how hard it is to get to this spot, Joey, to be 11-2 and you battle your way here. You can't blow it. You can't blow it and then still call it a success. So it's funny. It's just the way the NFL works, right? If you're 12-5, but you start 1-5 and win 11 straight, everybody's thrilled. If you're 12-5, but you were 11-2, nobody's thrilled. It's the same result, but it's how you get there. That's why I think it's a tough question to answer right now, whether or not it's a success. Depends on how the next 4 to 8 weeks go.
Yeah, and I will say, if you lose the next 5 games, of course, losing in the first round of the playoffs, then no, it can't be a success. I will never look at this season and say it's a success. In fact, look at this season and be like, okay, well, they won a bunch of one-score games that they had to scrap and claw to win, and it didn't look good. It wasn't a pretty season. But if they end up getting to the playoffs, with a 14-3 record, win 2 and lose 1, or win 3 and lose 1, and they end up losing in the first round, and you take everything into account with the fact that the Broncos lost their best playmaker in J.K. Dobbins, the most consistent piece on this offensive side of the field, and they just weren't getting it rolling without him as much. Then yeah, I mean, you got to take that into account. I think that in the future you can look back at this season and think it was a success no matter what, except for the fact if they go in, or not the fact, except for the idea that if they go in to these next 4 games, drop them all, lose in the first round of the playoffs, it'll be a fumble. It'll be a fumble on the goal line, because you have the opportunity to not only be the first seed in the AFC, but be the first seed in the AFC West. But also be the first seed in the AFC. The destiny is, they control their own destiny right now. They have set themselves up in a position to succeed better than any other team in the league, and it's apparent because of the fact that they are the number 1 seed. The Patriots, I'm not trusting them to win out. The Broncos, on the other hand, I do. I've seen them win tough games. The Packers is going to be a tough game. They beat the Eagles, and the Eagles have kind of fallen off of a cliff, but still, you've gone out there and you beat them. The Chiefs are always going to be one of those teams that is going to find ways to win, and the Broncos flipped the script on them and found their way to win. They have proven that they can beat anybody in this league. That's why I'm not stressing too much about these next 4 games. Win some, lose some. They've proven all season that they can win these games. So I got to lean the other way. I think that no matter what, this season will be looked at as success, no matter how it ends. You got to look at what they've done. Just in a sophomore season, Bo Nix has proven that he is a franchise quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the league, arguably top 10. It's exactly what you want to see in this team. But
you got to look at it this way. And part of it's history, right? Like, let's say they go 12-5 and they lose in the first round. We'll all be disappointed. But it's all historical, right? If we look 5 years from now and we look back and go, that was the catalyst. That was the springboard. That was when they kind of found their sea legs, and then they, exploded from there. Okay, but the Lions went 15-2 last year, had home field advantage and blew it in the divisional round against Washington. Now they're struggling to get into the playoffs. Like, that might have been their window. So I don't know that anybody in Detroit looks back at last year as a success, even though it could have turned into a springboard. But now it's like, man, that was their window. So, Joey, we got to look at it of like, 5 years from now, if this was the best chance the Broncos had to win a Super Bowl and they blew it, it's not a success. If it's the springboard that leads to an unprecedented run and they go to 3 out of 4 AFC title games and get a Super Bowl, okay, then we will. So it's hard to make those determinations until you look back. Like, the 1996 season I'd mentioned, everybody in this town was depressed after that. Shannon Sharp said it was going to set the franchise back a decade. And it turned into the catalyst and the motivation, and Mark Schlereth will talk about this, of how the Broncos used that as motivation to win the next 2 Super Bowls. Well, then that season was a success. It's all kind of how you look at it backward. We're not going to know, but man, I just think opportunities don't come along much in life. You don't know that you're ever going to be 11-2 again. You don't know that you're ever going to have a chance to get the 1 seed again, right? Where Buffalo's down, Baltimore's down, Kansas City's down, the Bengals are down. Better strike while it's there. Ask the Lions. You better strike while it's there.
Well, yeah, but I think that people will still look back on that Lions team last season. I guarantee everybody in Detroit looks back at last season as a success, even though they ended up losing the way that they did. Same way the people in Houston talk about the Texans and CJ Stroud's rookie season, Jaden Daniels' rookie season last year, even though they fell off of a cliff this year and they're one of the worst teams in the league. They were just blown out by the Minnesota Vikings, who have number 9 as their quarterback. They still look at last season as a success. I think that no matter what we've seen from this Broncos team has been a slow and steady growth. No, I take that back. It's been a quick growth. We looked at last year and we were like, oh, wow, they snuck to the playoffs. And sure, we didn't expect them to go out and beat Buffalo, but they went in and they put up a fight, had that first big touchdown to Troy Franklin. And now you've propelled from that. So that might have been the springboard. You're looking at right now what that has paid off too. You've brought in big pieces in the offseason. Like I said, J.K. Dobbins, you got R.J. Harvey now leading the pack in the run game. That has been your success. Building this team has been the success. And no matter what, with the way that they ended, I think that you could feel confident in this team moving forward. Now, sure, things can happen. Bo Nix could go down, knocking on wood. Anything could happen in this league. But what they've proven so far is that they're a winning team. And that doesn't go away in a season. I mean, I guess it could. But with the way that this team is built, I don't see that going away anytime soon.
I don't either. And I'm not trying to be negative because I don't think this is going to unravel. I'm just saying, again, use the Commanders. Like, was last year a success for them? Going 12-5, went to the NFC title game.
Yeah, with 100%.
Okay, well, there's something that the Texans and the Lions have in common. They haven't won jack squat. And you might as well put the Commanders in that category because they haven't won anything since 1991, right? Like, here is the town where, a decade ago they won a Super Bowl. They've been to 8 Super Bowls. We've had 3 parades through downtown. I'm sorry, 12-5 and getting to the AFC title game just isn't a success for me. Especially if the next year is like this year has been for the Commanders. Like, if I'm Washington, I'm looking at that saying, is Jaden Daniels RG3 2.0? Where we had our shot, we had our window with this, skinny, frail, looks like he's going to get, broken in half on any given play. We had our window and we missed it by losing in the title game to Philly. I don't know. We're getting way ahead of ourselves and in trying to forecast all the different things that could happen. I just think, in terms of living in the present, again, it's just the old guy in me, Joey. I'm the elder statesman on the show today. You don't know that an opportunity is going to come around again, right? It's what I tried to tell Nuggets fans when they would, not care that the Nuggets blew a second round series against Portland when they were trying to defend Michael Malone. I'm like, listen, you don't know how long this window is going to be open, right? Like, Jamal blows out his knee. MPJ gets traded. Heaven forbid, knock on wood, something happens to Jokic. Like, the window is open for the Broncos. We don't know if it's the beginning of the window or this is a one-season window. We have no idea. None of us know. All I'm saying is when it opens, you better sprint through it like it's Black Friday at Walmart and they just opened the doors because you don't know how long those doors are staying open.
Yeah, but like the Commanders, there's only one winner in this league every year. There's only one person who can hoist that Lombardi trophy. You don't think that other teams look at what they've done throughout the season and in a year, specifically the Commanders, who turned their entire franchise around within 1 year, went to the NFC Championship with a rookie quarterback, hoping to get to the Super Bowl. First time a rookie has ever led a team to the Super Bowl. Of course, it didn't happen because they ran into the Super Bowl winners in the Philadelphia Eagles. But you don't think that they looked at that season as a great change of pace, as an overall successful season?
I think they did when it ended. I think now, though, the perspective's different, right? Because now they're 3-9 and they've lost
3-9.
However many in a row, and it's like, oh my God, 8 in a row, I think, and it didn't turn into a building block. Now there's a lot of reasons for that. They've had a ton of injuries, including Jaden Daniels a couple of times, but it probably feels different now than it did the day after the NFC title game. I guarantee you on, DC Sports Talk the day after the title game, everybody was moral victory in it. Like, yeah, we lost, but hey, Jaden's a rookie. Look at the future. Like, I get it. I totally get it. And I think that would be the proper perspective for this Broncos team if they go 13-4 and lose in the AFC title game. The proper perspective would be, wow, what a great season. Future is bright. Bo and Sean, let's build upon this. That would be the proper perspective. It would be. Yep. But history will tell us if that turns out to be right. And I'm just saying, pounce. you got a chance here to get the number 1 seed. If they get the 1 seed, they will be the prohibitive favorite to go to the Super Bowl, because that means they either went undefeated at home or maybe lost 1 game at home. That means they're a 14-win team, probably 15-win team to get that 1 seed, and you got to win 2 more games at home to go to Santa Clara. So, Sean Payton knows it, right? He knows it. There aren't that many opportunities that come along where you've got an 11-2 team and you're sitting with the number 1 seed, on December or whatever it's going to be when they kick it off, December 14th. That's just a great opportunity. Just don't blow it. I guess that's my bottom line, guy in his 50s advice.
No, I mean, that's fair. That some people may look at that as a cynical point of view, like saying that you need to go, but it's not. It's a very real, like, hey, you got this window that's opening now, and it wasn't open for so many years. It was locked shut, and now you're in an opportunity in a space where you have a chance to go out there and continue to win games, the way that they've been doing all season. I feel immense confidence in this team, and I know that the Raiders game shouldn't tell us much, but it told me a lot in the fact that they can go out there and play their style of football and just dominate on both ends of the football. The score, the way that it ended, 24-17, that is not the way that game felt. It felt much more dominant than that. And they can continue bringing that to every team that they play. I'm very excited for this Packers game because I think that that's going to be the game that tells people exactly what they want to know about this Broncos team. It's the toughest 4-game stretch of the season so far. You were thinking about it earlier this year that it was going to be the Eagles and the Bengals and those teams that they played, the Chargers, but no, it's these final 4 that's going to tell us everything that you need to know about this Broncos team. And I've got confidence them winning all 4. I mean, there'll be some tough ones, but I mean, they've shown that they're just a winning team. But James, thank you so much for joining. It was a lot of fun talking to you. I'll look forward to being with you next Tuesday. And everybody else, thank you all for joining. We will see you all tomorrow. Until then, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.